beginnings, new book, and we will be studying the book Fonte Viva or Living Spring. This blur thing is driving me nuts sometimes. From Chico Xavier by the Spirit Emmanuel. It's a very nice book to have at hand. They are very short lessons, but nonetheless less important or less, rich with knowledge and wisdom and words of consolation, of love to inspire it and keep us, going and strong in our faith. So this book is based on lessons. So every page or two has like a little kind of piece of Bible, where then Emmanuel kind of explained that, like from the Spiritist, from Spiritism point of view, but not like only Spiritism, but like the spiritual world point of view, to explain, to help us to understand what things that have been written like thousands years ago. So we evolve, our vocabulary evolve. So and that was very helpful. So Living Spring, lesson 1, before the lesson. So before I really dive to, they say before you go and study, just think about this before the lesson. So before the lesson, sorry, I forgot to explain. We're gonna read the lesson, and then we're gonna go into the study and chat and discuss about it. All right. Before the lesson, consider what I say, for the Lord will give you the understanding in everything. Paul 2 Timothy 2:7. So that's a little piece of the Bible that consider what I say, for the Lord will give you understanding in everything. That's what Paul wrote in some of his letter. And this is what Emmanuel explains to us. Oops, next screen. When you're faced with the revelation of truth, do not shy away from reflecting on the light you received. He who glances at the sky without truly contemplating it does not see the stars. And he who listens to a symphony without opening his soul's acoustics to it does not perceive its divine notes. You will hear the inspired words of fervent preachers in vain if you do not open your heart so that your feelings may immerse themselves in their blessed clarity. Many followers of the gospel complain about the inability to retain the teachings of the good news, claiming themselves to be inept before the new revelations. This is because they do not give proper attention to the lessons they hear, lingering instead of in the realms of distraction and superficiality. When a room remains in the darkness, it is up to us to unlatch the window and let the sunlight in. Let us dedicate some effort to the grace of the lesson, and the lesson will respond with its blessings. The apostle of the Gentiles, it's clear on his observation. Considering what I say, for then the Lord will give you understanding in everything. To considering means to examine it, to attend, to reflect, and to appreciate it. Let us be convinced then that by paying attention to the guidance offered by the code of eternal life, the Lord, in response to our goodwill, will grant us understanding in all things. So this is what Emmanuel say about just a tiny bit. Imagine if he just, I bet he could be able to write a book on all of that, because just that text embrace so much that is everything, not everything, but is always about, we can go through too many lessons, like thousands every week. We can discuss about forgiveness. We can discuss about love. We can discuss about solitude. We can discuss about everything. But if you don't considering and examining each lesson and let our hearts to listen, to try to understand, to observe, then gonna be there is like it's gonna be in vain, So that's why he was trying to guide us to understand that before the lesson, before you dive in and try to study and absorb all the teachings that are in the world, you need to consider and dedicate the time to let that sink in yourself, so you can have, and within that, embracing that, God will give you the understanding so you can grasp the meanings of the lesson. So consider what I say, for the Lord will give you understanding everything. This short passage holds deep message. Understanding comes when we are willing to reflect. We can read a whole book, but if you don't reflect on the words or what they mean, it's going to be, in vain. It's going to be like nothing. So you can read a book and at the end absorb nothing if you don't stop to reflect on the words and the meaning of the words. And reflection on what? Emmanuel reminds us that receiving spiritual truth is not just enough. It's not just enough. We have something that say, love your brothers and sisters as love yourself. That's not just enough. That is just words. If we don't reflect, if we don't absorb the meaning of the words, they are just words and just, teachings around that. So when he say, whoever glances the sky without true contemplating will not see the stars, this means if we only listen to spiritual teachings on the surface, we won't truly change us. So we can hear all day long, love our brothers and sisters as you should love yourself, something like around those lines. I can't remember the specific words, but you know what I mean. They're just words as it is. If we really truly not stop, breathe, right, Colleen? As you always, and really try to understand what is love, my brothers and sisters, what that means, like what I don't want people to do to me, what I should be doing towards others. They're just words as it is. They're powerful words, but if you don't stop, reflect, and try to absorb the meaning, we're gonna be just on the surface. We're never gonna dive deep on the totality of that expression. Cannot change us, help us to understand. And just once we stop to reflect on them, as Colleen always said to us, breathe, stop, as we did last week when we have the meditation, just for 5 minutes, stop and be. Then we're going to be able to listen. Then God will give us the guidance to understand. It's not going to be like, maybe it's not like going to be a click and we'll be like that and out of the blue, we're going to understand the full meaning. No, but it's a moment to reflect and let God speak to us. So let's pause for a moment of reflection. So every time when we are trying to read, study something, take a moment. Try to digest the words. Try to understand what really that means. Do you agree with it? Does your heart resonate with it? That's a personal opinion. Like, I don't think we always have to agree. I think it's great when we disagree with something and kind of challenge about it, like, because that instigate us to kind of search for the truth and something that resonates with our hearts. As I always used to say, that I found myself in Spiritism and like navigate towards other spiritual kind of religions, philosophies, and because they resonate with what I study. But before that, I was like on the church, and a lot of things never resonate with me. But then when I started to study Spiritism, I'm not saying they were wrong. It's just like did not resonate with me. And every time the priest say something at the front, I was like, not really sure I agree with that. And it's okay. That's when we are reflecting about the words, is when we try to absorb the meaning. So not really agree is not like, being against. It's just like saying it's wrong. It's just about like really reflecting. So don't be afraid to challenge and say, not so sure, because this is part of the process of learning. I take a moment to really reflect, maybe search for other sources of information. So truly, especially today, like before today, we have so many tools at our hands to kind of search, text, people to discuss. Our group here as well. We can always discuss back and forward. You guys is completely aware that many times we talk here and we're like, not too sure. Someone came and said, but I think this, I think that. That is part of take a moment to reflect and discuss and try to find what really resonates with your heart. Oh, good until here? Yes. So, what that leads us when we take that moment to reflect, to make the effort to really understand the meaning of the words. Otherwise, they're just words. So that will lead us to a spiritual growth. But spiritual growth requires effort, as everything in life. If you wanted to a new skill, it's gonna require you to study, understanding, practice, fail, practice again. And spiritual growth, does not go against the laws of nature. It requires the same process. It's like, persist is about search, is about studying, is about reflecting, plus any skills that we wanna to develop in our life. In spiritual growth, it's pretty much just like that. There is no spiritual growth without us dedicating time to that, time to reflect. And I'm not saying, when I say dedicate time, it's not about being here every Tuesday. Of course, it's part of the, help us, like, because we are here, connect by heart and all of that. It's not being like part of a church at the time, but it's really it's action. Like, it's search for things that brings you peace, search for things that help you to kind of open your heart to God. So if it's being here every Tuesday, that's great, help us. If it's being by yourself, studying at home with books and things that kind of resonate with you and help you to find your inner self, your inner peace, that's great as well. So spiritual growth requires things for you to practice your faith, practice the way you do your connection. For me, I have my own way. Alex has his own, and I bet you guys have your own way of connection. And that is practicing your spiritual growth. So many people say, when we are studying, then like Emmanuel put that on the text now, I can't remember the gospel teachings. I'm terrible to remember all the passage. I kind of remember I read something about here and that, but that's good. I don't understand the spiritual messages. Then Emmanuel explains that's often because we stay in distraction and superficiality. As I said, if we just read that and leave as it is, they're just words. Then we have to take that moment to stop and reflect. What that word means to me. Why they say if when one door closes, another one open. It's a powerful statement, but what really means? So help us to understand what. So if we just read the text, read the books, doesn't matter how many books you read, if you really don't stop and reflect on the weight of the word in your life, on how that will help you to develop your faith, develop your understanding, open your heart and take a moment to meditate on them, breathe in and let God speak to you. They're always going to be just words. So when we are studying, it's not about the whole book, like read. No, it's about if today I'm only can read one page and really take something from it, that's great. So that will help your spiritual growth. So is that what they say for us to not get distracted by things on the way? Is about give yourself a moment to try to really absorb what the words means to you. So when there is a passage of the text that say, when a room in the darkness needs someone to open the window to let the light in, a heart must open to divine wisdom to enter. So that resonates a lot with Colleen, and Yvonne always tells us, take a moment to breathe. Take a moment to just be and listen to God. It doesn't matter if you're going to read the whole book. If we just read the whole book without taking a moment to really listen, stop and listen, it will be just words. So God God does not impose understanding. He offers us opportunities to seek with our goodwill. So it's a process, as everything. So we have to take a moment to really let it be, it let it go and letting God, as always you say, Colleen. Let it go and letting God. Yeah. I thought about you a lot when I was writing those things. So the message is for us to not rush through our spiritual message. Let us listen to our soul. Not just in our ears, but as we always say in our praise, open our hearts, receive what we need. It's just to sit and be and breathe and let God speak to us. Let's open the windows of our hearts so the sunlight of God can enter it. Maybe you just needed like a 2 minute sit on the outside, let the sun warm your skin, especially on this weather, and enjoy the surround noises of the nature. Just be there. Not necessarily you need to read a book to enlighten your spiritual world, but be grateful about the opportunity to have like a 2-3 minutes, just sit there and enjoy your surroundings. The Lord does not leave us in confusion. When we pause to pause to reflect, He will give us clarity. But we need to give Him the opportunity to kind of speak with us. If you don't have the opportunity to stop, I'm terrible sometimes to really stop my mind. My mind, when I say I'm really too much sometimes, to really stop and breathe in, to let God speak with me. And I strongly believe that's when we stop and we are searching for something, asking for something, praying for something, be grateful for something. And then when we really sit, when I say sit, is like when, you could be driving and having that process. Just when I say sit, is like when you take that moment to really reflect about it. It seems like that intuition that say, that's when God is speaking with you. So, but we really need to give ourselves, our mentors, and God the opportunity to have the opportunity to communicate with us. So again, I will quote Colleen: just breathe, be present here with us, or where you at, trying to have that moment of reflection and let God speak through us. So that's what's the message about it. It's really about, doesn't matter that we're going on a journey now with 200, 100 and something lessons in a book. If we don't stop and try to just every Tuesday have like maybe just one little piece of that to reflect, they will be just like another study, another thing that's going to be on the web forever. So that's why I was think about it like, okay, what I need to take from this today is about breathe and think about what you're reading, what we're discussing. What is the message here? Be present. We are studying, yes, but like, are you really listening to what we are discussing? Are you really present when we are talking? And maybe, not maybe, that's not the word I want to use it. And I confess that sometimes the mind kind of goes away. You get distracted, like a car is going, and it's okay. Like, it's just a moment of breathe and back. And if you have just one moment to reflect, a minute or two to meditate on that word, do it. And that can be driving to work. You can be in the shower, it can be on your bed, on your prayers. So I thought it was a very amazing lessons to like, doesn't matter what you're going to find on your journey through this book. Take your time to reflect, to open your heart, and let the message sink in. So I think it's a powerful message. It's a very simple, short lesson before we go into the study. But that was my take about breathing. Breathe out. Stop. Wait a minute. Think about it. I'm very musical today. So yeah, so that's what was my intake of the text. Is honestly wasn't much about develop or too much on it. The message is pretty clear. Like, before you jump on the book, take a moment, and every time you're discussing about it on the next lesson, listen to the words, not just read the words. Take a moment to connect, to reflect. Do I agree? Does that resonate with my heart? Have I been through something that, we are reading here? Does that happen to me? Did that happen to someone that I care about it? Is that a simple lesson to follow? All those questions are part of that spiritual growth of really absorb the message. And then after you have those questions, after you kind of, this is interesting, not so much, breathe and sit in gratitude and let the word, let the God speak to you. Take a moment to really okay, this is my intake. I will take a deep breath in, and open my heart and see what I feel, what is what's my intuition. And then we can walk through all the lessons that we're going to be reading on the next following weeks with our heart a little bit more prepared for the words that we're going to be reading. So as I said, this wasn't a big chapter. It was very simple thing that he brought to us, that before you jump on this journey, take a moment of reflection of the words that we're going to be reading and resonate with that. So I think that's an invitation for us to practice every day. And also, I think that links really well with Alex present last week about St. Francis, that he reflect every day, what I did. Should I do? It's not about the guilt. Again, it's not about the guilt about reflecting on things. It's about just reflecting, and what I learned, what I could take from this. So I think that linked pretty well when we wrapped this study last week about reflection and my actions should have them. And again, it's not about the guilt, it's about learning. It's about, okay, maybe that wasn't that great, but I can learning from that and then reflect on these studies. And then when we discuss about forgiveness, I say, oh, okay, I can link these with that, and kind of things start to click in. That's going to help us with our spiritual growth, and it's beautiful. For example, when we go on a journey and the things that we learn, the things that we discussed, they kind of start to form like a puzzle. And then it's not that complicated at the end of the day about trying to understand a text, but we really need that moment of reflection, of back and forth with, okay, what this word really means. Do I agree or do not? And then after that, okay, I think I had enough. And then now I'm going to sit in here in gratitude and take just a moment to breathe, and then go on with my days. For example, once we finish here, the 5 minutes or the guide pray that we do is that moment when we're going to have here the discussion. Someone's going to be presenting something, someone have inputs to say, and then we're going to, okay, the 5 minutes meditation is not just for the meditation itself, because it's great, of course, but it's when we're going to have that time to kind of decompress and say, okay, now I'm going to breathe. I listen, I reflect, I have my questions. Maybe I'm going to have more questions tomorrow, but I will be sitting here. I will meditate, listen to the music, listen to the guidance of the meditation, and then just be here. So it's just part of the whole process to help us to understand, to grow, and to evolve. But don't be too caught up on the part that if you cannot, some days not be so connect to the meditation. Again, it's just part of the journey. So every time we practice, every time we do, it becomes more easy. I told you guys many times that I'm not the most easy person to meditate. I'm not. My mind goes 1,000 miles an hour. Sometimes when I speak too fast because when I get, excited about something, I just went, woo. But I'm trying. And I remember that G that used to come to our center. I was talking with her a couple of years ago. And then I said, G, I cannot meditate it. And she's like, why not? And I said, because I can quiet my mind. And then she's like, it's not about that. It's about you just be. If you can quiet your mind, it's okay. It's part of who you are. You're going to breathe in, say, You understand why your mind, went wild and totally kind of somewhere that's not here, and try to breathe in and be present again. And she said, if you're just able to be here still for 2 seconds, so be it. It's what you can do it. And then within time, with practice, you're going to get your mind there. I'm pleased to let you know I can be more quiet than 2 seconds. But yeah, 4, yeah, 5. But it's getting easier. I still have a long journey, but then I was reflecting about the words of Emmanuel. It's about it's a process. It's about, recognize, reflect, know your weakness. It's not your weakness, but you know what I mean, what I wanted to achieve, what I'm trying to say. Know when you're not, know your weakness, know the things that you kind of can improve, and then it's the only way for us to kind of grow. Keep practicing, keeping reflecting, and then just be. So there is not much for me to say. As I said, it was a really short chapter text that is just invite us to do that. Open to any comments, anyone who would like to say something, add something, asking questions. No, is everybody quiet today? I said too early.
Always too early, Di. Yes. Thank you so much. It is so simply and eloquently put. You have highlighted the importance to not jump around. And yes, I said it in the advertising for this week. It isn't about gorging yourself, getting as much knowledge and about as much wisdom and accumulating that by reading this book and that book. It is worth nothing unless we have pondered and sat gently with the pages themselves, gently allowing for the words to resonate within us, to raise a vibration. Yes. The other thing I wanted to say is that it goes with everything in life. Everything is a lesson. As Emmanuel says, if we look up at the sky, we need not to use beautiful adjectives and move on, but to gaze, to wonder, to sit or to stand gently, and to allow for the secrets of the universe, the glorious awesomeness of it all, to tell its secrets. But the secrets will not be revealed unless we wait for it and not move on so quickly.
Yeah.
And the same goes for meeting people. Why is this person presented to me at this moment in my life, at this moment of my day? Yes, to sit and to gently commune with them. It is so often the case that we use each interaction as a transaction. Do you understand what this means?
Mm-hmm.
It is a transaction. I give you something and you give me something, and then we are done. It is facilitating a social aspect of our lives. We need to do it, don't we? We negotiate. But seldom do we commune with the other. And to commune means we sit gently, allowing for the energy itself to show us what is necessary and what is needed by the other or by ourselves, from ourselves. Yes. In that communion without calculation, yes, we allow for whatever needs to happen without pushing our agenda. Yes. Of course, there is need for transaction. because certain things need to be negotiated, but there is a greater aspect, isn't there? Yes. And later, upon reflection, again, with that individual, what was that individual trying to show me? How was it that I responded in this way? And you feel it in your body. We feel it, don't we? We think of a person and a certain part of our body, whether it is in a particular chakra or another part, something resonates in a particular way. And it is upon the reflection that we actually have ourselves revealed to ourselves. Yes. And this is so important.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Yvonne. Anyone else would like to add something? As I said, it was a very short text today, but it's a very full of meaning for us to reflect.
Yes.
Full of meaning. All right, then. So I will put
Louise, maybe Louise has something to say.
Oh, Louise, yes.
Yes, great.
Yeah, I was just going to add, yeah, thank you, Di, for going through that. That was very, very clear. I appreciate the way you always do everything. Like you speak from your heart, and I think that is very helpful. And that's part of what that lesson is as well, I think. It's like you're listening, you're like literally listening to your soul as you speak, because you can put it into like your experience and things that you understand. And that's actually very helpful to get the points across to the rest of us.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
So yeah, like you speaking from experience and speaking from your soul, but that's because you, I've noticed, take the time to like to sit still when you speak. And that's something that I think Eckhart Tolle touches on as well, as the idea of like sitting still and being still and only noticing one thing at a time, and like acknowledging that you notice that thing and then letting it go, and then just kind of merging with everything around you. And like it's almost like that merging is how we can be more present. Does that work as an interpretation of that, or as like one way to kind of put this lesson into practice?
No, there is no right or wrong. Like, as I said, for example, I cannot sit still. Trust me. It's really hard for me to sit still. For example, for me, I work better on noise. Like if I'm working normal day to day, I'm listening to a book, I'm listening to music. Like sit in silence for me now is not too bad, but used to be very hard to sit in silence, reflection and all of that. That's what I said, like I cannot meditate it. But what I'm learning to do is what you just put it beautifully. It's just like a knowledge, like, okay, I can do this. You go and come back. If you have to go 1,000 times and come back, it's fine. So I think it's about like just embrace who you are, where you are at the moment. Recognize your the things that you're not great at it. But the beautiful thing is like we have the opportunity to grow and learn. So whatever works with your heart, like if you can sit and do something with noise, it's fine. But you have to find your way of doing it, and what makes your heart kind of warm and say, and as Colleen put it, you're gonna feel it that works for you. But yeah, it's a process. Trust me, it's not easy to go through. But it's the beauty is as I said, I'm very musical today. There is that beautiful song of Miley Cyrus. It's not about the journey, it's about the climb. It's about, what you're going to find on your way there. The top of the mountain is just like the end of it. So it's about the journey, it's about the climb. So is that what I think about it, about these lessons and things in life. So task helped me as well to not kind of, what is the word here? judge myself for my failures on the spiritual realm, working realm. It's just about acknowledge them and get them as lessons to grow, you know. So that helps a lot. And it has been a journey, like in past with Spiritism. That's why I'm always put it that I found myself in Spiritism, because brings that there is no guilty, like takes the guilt away from you. And like it is what it is, it's part of who you are. The things you go through in your life build you as you are today, Lulu. And it's beautiful. It's a blessing. If you are here today, talking, exchange, knowledge and love and all of that, is because it was part of the journey. So we need to be grateful for all the ups and downs, because it's not guilty, even though it's hard to have let that go. I'm not saying I let all my guilty go, but it's part of the process. It's part of reflect on the words, and like I think past and all the lessons and all the things that we share here help us a lot. So I hope you keep this journey with us. Thank you. Anyone else would like to say something and open your hearts? Let it be.
I have one more thing. Oh, you go, Angela. Your turn.
Now, just a very interesting reflection before we start all the other lessons, that indeed, if we don't take a moment to reflect on what we read about or we discuss about, it will go easily from our minds. So it is very interesting how Emmanuel put this together, just to start making us to kind of make a, call us to this important point. Reflect. Don't just be superficial. Don't just be reading and listening, but either meditate or reflect, or whatever word you want to say. But if we don't make that effort, then it just lessons after lessons and nothing stays with us. So it was very interesting and very important preamble, let's say, of the book. Very, very interesting. Yeah.
It is. Thanks, Angela. You're muted.
I wanted to say one more thing. It is in many churches that they spend time in worship. And worship is an interesting phrase or word to use, because it is in praising. And yet the idea itself is to honor God, but we fill it with a sense of connection, yes, and we respect, and we fill our hearts with words or a great song. It becomes almost a mantra that we praise, we honor, and yet once again, it is filled with our own voices. The word I used before is more allowing for the quietude. The word to commune allows for the give and take, the breathing in and the breathing out, the receiving and the giving, and allowing for that quiet, not even reflection, but once we have reflected, once we have gone through those processes of intellectualizing, like St. Augustine says, to go through our day, then after that, that need to not worship, because God, I don't sense, needs for us to say, you are most holy, and he knows it, he gets it. And we get it already. But there is time for that communion, and that can only be achieved when we sit to allow the breath to it is funny to say, when I work with horses, and when you see horse whisperers, they do it too. They stand with the horse nose to nose, and they share each other's breath. It is so extraordinary when a horse comes up to me, to my face, and yes, it is gorgeous. It is so similar in it is the hungi, is it? The Maoris greeting from New Zealand.
Yeah.
The placing together of foreheads and the sharing of breath. We share this breath in and out. And it is a quiet moment. There is no, oh, it's so great to see you, la, 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 la. It is a quiet communion. And that allows for the energy to be shared, and then the inspiration to be received without a lot of hoo-ha. Yes. Down with hoo-ha. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know one funny thing as well? You were saying, and I remember what Lulu said about being quiet. Sometimes, like I used to pray every night. Like I talk with God all day long, like, complain, whingy, be grateful, like sometimes singing, whatever. But like I still, because as I said, I was like, I grew up in the church, so it still is in me, like, to pray before I go, like while I'm bed, before I go to sleep, And sometimes when my mind is really too fast, I just restore to the originals. Like I pray the
Our Father.
the Oh Father, I pray the Mary one, and I pray the
Hail
one.
Mary. Yes.
It just helped me get, like, stop what I'm doing, like, is as you beautiful put it, kind of help you to kind of center it. And I say, okay, God, now I'm calm. Now I'm gonna talk, and then I come to talk again, like, exchange my words with, okay, I'm grateful for this, and that, and then go through my day, the things I wanted to say before I pray, be grateful about my life, protect my all those things, like. But then sometimes I realize that I'm rumbling things, then I speak about things that shouldn't be on my prayer, and then many times I got myself say, hey, God, like, I'm not doing good today. I'm just gonna take a deep breath in, close my eyes, and I'm going to sleep. And I think it's like when I had that moment of quiet, because I try to do my prayers, I go so wild outside. Not that I believe God get offended by it. No, it's just my chit chat with him every day. But then sometimes I realize myself, I'm just mumbling words and going too, far out, when was supposed to be a moment of reflection and all of that. And then I tell myself and tell God, look, I'm going to shut up now. And I was just going to take a deep breath in, and I do it. A deep breath out, and I need to go to sleep. And I think that's when he said, thank all the gods for me to quiet. So I think it's part of the process, like, just recognize, Lulu. Just recognize and say, I will take a deep breath in and then keep moving. So I just remember that I do, not every day, but sometimes I really go, like, completely off track with my prayers. But it's fine. It's part of who we are. It builds our character. All right. I'm going to ask Alex to put the meditation for us. Can you do your magic? I need to go to the toilet very quickly. Sorry.
Hopefully that's the correct one. Let's just wait for Di to come back. That one?
Have you stop recording?
No.
Sorry, guys. Nature's call.